Hello everyone, and welcome to this review. In this video, we're going to be reviewing Star Fox Assault for the Nintendo Gamecube. The game was released in 2005 and was created by Nintendo and Namco. So, is this game a return to form, or is this just another god-awful Star Fox adventure game? Well, let's get on with this review and find out. The game's story is set after Star Fox adventures and has a gang going up against Oinky, who ends up being killed by some alien type creature. The story then progresses where Fox is lured onto a planet by a false distress signal, which then turns out to be a trap, and that planet's full of alien life forms that want to kill him. Essentially, the game's story all becomes about this new life form that's appeared, which then ends up taking over its host, and it also wants to take control of various other planets, or anyone else who lives on them. I think of Halo's The Flood, only much more poorly executed and not anywhere near as well designed, and you get the general idea. Various events happen during the main game, where Fox and the crew have to go to planet, or planets, to either stop something from happening, or to hunt down clues for the next location of this new enemy, and that's the general theme of the game's story. The game's story itself is well done, but personally I do feel it was rather poorly executed. The new alien life forms just come across as throwaway characters who don't really mean anything to the game's story or the history of the Star Fox universe in general, and the only one of them who even really speaks is a queen, and she's at the very end of the game. The game's story is okay, but it does feel rather rushed, without any real feeling put into it aside from the odd few levels here and there. I felt that the game's story could and should have been better, but instead it just falls flat in its face, which is kind of sad because at various points in the game the story does peak and get rather good. It's kind of a shame because the game's story has good points and bad points, but sadly it really needed more good points, but there's more bad than good. When it comes to the game's characters, you control Fox, and that's kind of it. I was hoping to maybe play some of the other characters in this game in some way, shape or form, but nope, just Fox again. The other characters don't really seem to do much in this game either, which just felt rather disappointing too. Instead of actually helping you out during the game, they just kind of seem to follow you around and not really do very much. I don't think I ever saw Crystal fire one round in her air wing in this entire game. The cast themselves are the usual bunch from the past Star Fox games, with the odd new character thrown in here and there. But realistically, the characters in this game just don't come across with any real personality, and just feel oddly bland. I didn't really get any emotional feeling or vibe from any of these characters, even when things were meant to be super bleak, such as a whole planet being taken over by this new life form. I also have to note that the interactions between the characters are absolutely terrible. Almost as if Nintendo had a budget of $69.99 and just hired 3 people to do all the voices in this game, and to do them all within a day, and to hurry up because they only had the studio for 1 hour. So you got one take on this, and that's it. If you're wondering just how bad I mean, I think Resident Evil 1 on the PlayStation 1, only with less effort put into it, and no attempt to even make it kind of funny. Is the gameplay better than Star Fox Adventures, you're wondering? Well, yes, and rather a seriously bad no. See, the game actually tricks you because you start playing the game and you begin with level 1. Now, level 1 is amazing, and it really draws you into the game. You're like, yes, it's a great Star Fox game, just like how Star Fox 64 was. Then level 2 happens, and you see Fox get out of his air wing. You're like, okay. Then the level starts, and then you're walking around. Again. Just like how you were in Star Fox Adventures. Only this time, Nintendo ballsed this up even more somehow, because the controls are even worse this time around. See, this is a problem with the game's gameplay. It tricks you. You do the first level, and it sucks you in. You think, this will be an epic Star Fox game, just like what Nintendo promised, after the awful mess that was Star Fox Adventures. Which wasn't even really meant to be a Star Fox game originally. You do the first level, you think it's fantastic, level 2 happens, everything's terrible, you push through it because you're hoping that you're in the air wing in the next level, and that this was some type of one-off, only it isn't. Again you push through, more walking, still pushing through, finally an air wing level, then back to walking, and this is basically how the game goes on all the way through the game. There are 10 levels in the game, and only about 3 of them are proper air wing levels, while the rest of them just have you walking or using the god-awful tank, which controls like me trying to take a dump on the toilet, while also trying to read a newspaper, while also trying to knock one out at the same time. So if you're wondering, very badly. The controls for Fox when he is on foot are absolutely terrible, and I mean absolutely terrible. And you have loads and loads of levels that you're going to be walking in and dying a lot in because of just how bad the damn controls are. However, you get inside an air wing and the controls work beautifully. It's almost like some type of bad in-house joke by Nintendo. The gameplay itself is good, but only when you're doing air wing levels. Everything else after that is just bad. The controls for Fox on the ground are bad. The controls for Fox in the tank are bad. I honestly don't understand how this got past the offices at Nintendo. The game's graphics are very beautiful and look exceptionally crisp. Remember that originally this game was a Nintendo Gamecube game and was released in 2005. So while looking at the game now, you have to think how it came across back then. Even by today's standards, I still think that some of the air wing levels look amazingly well put together, and could go toe to toe with some of today's modern games appearance wise. However, the graphics do seem to be rather a case of hit and miss with this game as well. While some of the air wing levels look amazing, you do get some levels which kind of look like GoldenEye 64 bad, and look as if they're doing some sort of impression of Minecraft. It's strange because the graphics really do seem to be an odd case of hit and miss, depending on what levels you're doing. You do one level in space defending a type of space station from attacks from all direction, and this looks incredible with everything that's happening all around you. And then you get levels such as the snowy level, where you're walking around and you can't see much because the background just comes across as a type of black screen, while you have blinding snow blowing in your direction, so you can see even less. And it just comes across very strange, because it's almost as if 2 different teams took turns in designing this game's graphics. Some graphics in some levels look great, while some graphics in some levels look absolutely terrible. They look bland with nothing there to appreciate or seem lifeless, while other levels just look absolutely amazing. The worlds you explore in Star Fox Assault are very well designed, and you really do feel like you're travelling from planet to planet. However, because of how the gameplay is and how the graphics are themselves, it really does feel as if it's a case of A, I'm really going to like this level, or B, Jesus Christ, I wish this awful level will hurry up and finish. The extremely bad controls from when walking around really don't help this game's level design either. You just look at level 2 and think, it's clearly a rush job, the level design is very poor, just looks like walls around a small building. And this is a shame, because some of the environments that have been created look great and really blow you away with just how much time and effort was put into them. But then on the other hand, you get levels which you look at and you feel as if you're looking at something that was either made on a budget or was rushed out quickly just to try and add another level to the game. Honestly, I think I would have felt much better if Nintendo had delayed this game by a few months and had spent more time working on making the levels better, rather than just what we got. I'm not saying that the environments for the game are bad, I am just saying that it really is a case of hit and miss with how this game's level design has been created. If you're thinking about buying this game, I'm going to save you some time right now. Do not buy this game. It's just not a good game at all, and it tricks you into thinking it is going to be a great game when it isn't. You do level 1 thinking it's going to be Star Fox 64 epicness, only for it to turn around and turn into another Star Fox Adventures 2 within 8 minutes. Do not waste your time or money on this game. Even if you're lucky enough to find it at $4.99, which I've seen this game go for on eBay sometimes, it's not worth it. Essentially, you get 3 great Airwing levels which feel like a proper Star Fox game, and then everything else is just like having Mike Tyson come round to your house and headbutt you. It is a painful game to play, and truth be told, I only completed it because I didn't know what was coming up in the next level. I kept hoping there were going to be more Airwing levels and I kept pushing forwards, only to get more god-awful Star Fox adventure levels again and again. It's just not a good game, and I can't realistically understand what the hell Nintendo were thinking when they made that mess that was Star Fox Adventures, and then why they would do this yet again for this game. Fans were very clear with Nintendo that they just wanted a good Star Fox game again, like what Star Fox 64 was and is, and instead we're just given a game with 3 great levels and then the rest being absolutely awful. If you do have a Gamecube and you want a good Star Fox game, then I'm sorry, but there just isn't one. You get the choice of Star Fox Adventures, which is terrible, and then you get the choice of this, Star Fox Assault, which has 3 great levels, and then the rest is terrible. Even if you can find this game super cheap on eBay or anywhere else, I would just avoid against it, because it just is going to leave you feeling very disappointed. Star Fox Assault had its chance, and it blew it big time. 3 great levels, while the rest are terrible, and it's just a game which could have been great, but instead it's below average. Well, that's it for this review guys. Thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and please subscribe.